Captain Jake Morrison sat in the cold metal chair and stared at the 12 alien faces around the curved table. The Galactic Harmony Council chamber was built to make visitors feel small. The ceiling stretched up into darkness, and the walls curved away until they disappeared in shadows. Every detail was designed to remind anyone who entered that they were nothing compared to the Great Council. Jake had been coming to these meetings for 3 years. Each time he asked for permission. Each time they said no. Today would be different. It had to be. The Saurian chairman, Vex Thera, looked down at Jake with yellow eyes that never blinked. His scaled face showed no emotion as he spoke in the flat, mechanical voice that came from his translator. The human representative may now present his request. Jake stood up. His uniform felt tight around his shoulders. He had worn his best dress blues for this meeting. The medals on his chest caught the dim light. Each one represented a battle, fought in the name of peace, back when humanity still believed the Council wanted what was best for everyone. Honored Council members, Jake began, I request permission for humanity to establish mining colonies in the Arcturus sector. We have identified 17 worlds with no intelligent life. The resources there could help feed our growing population and advance our technology. We promise to follow all Council guidelines for environmental protection. The alien faces around. The table did not change. Jake had seen that look before. It was the look adults gave to children who asked for something impossible. Vexathera's forked tongue flicked out once. Request denied. May I ask why? Jake kept his voice calm, but his hands clenched into fists behind his back. Human expansion presents a risk to galactic stability. Your species has shown aggressive tendencies throughout your short history. The Council cannot allow such behavior to spread beyond your current borders. Jake felt something hot rise in his chest. We have followed every rule for 60 years. We have never attacked another Council member. We have given up our weapons when you asked. We have accepted observers on our worlds. What more do you want? A new voice spoke from across the table. It belonged to Councillor Zefton, whose massive bulk filled a water-filled tank. The cetacean's voice bubbled through the liquid before the translator made it clear. Compliance is not enough, human. Your people still think as individuals. You compete. You argue. You question authority. These traits make you dangerous to the harmony we have built. So you want us to stop being human? We want you to evolve beyond your primitive nature, said another counselor, this one from the gas-based Nomari. Its voice whispered like wind, through leaves. Other species have learned to put the greater good above their own desires. Humans remain selfish. Jake looked around the table. 47 times he had sat here. 47 times they had found reasons to say no. The mining request was just the latest. Before that, it was permission to build new ships. Before that, permission to explore the outer systems. Before that, permission to develop new weapons for defense. Always the same answer, always the same reason. Humans were too dangerous, too aggressive, too unpredictable. We have been patient, Jake said. But my people are growing tired of being treated like children. Vexthara's head tilted slightly. Children are exactly what you are. Dangerous children with access to technology you do not yet deserve. Which brings us to our next matter. The chairman touched a control on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing star charts and fleet positions. Jake's blood went cold as he recognized the formations. The Council has decided that humanity's current military capacity poses an unacceptable threat to galactic peace. Effective immediately, you will reduce your fleet by 80%. All vessels larger than frigate class will be surrendered to Council forces for destruction. That's our entire defense force. You have no enemies, human. The Council protects you. Why do you need weapons? Jake's voice rose despite his training. The same reason you have weapons. The same reason every species in this room maintains fleets and armies. We are responsible civilizations, Vexathara replied. You are not. The hologram changed, showing images of human worlds. Jake saw Earth, with its blue oceans and white clouds. He saw Luna Base, where he had been born. He saw New Geneva, where his sister lived with her children. Furthermore, each human world will now accept a permanent council garrison. These forces will ensure compliance with all regulations and monitor human behavior for signs of aggression. Jake felt the world spin around him. You're talking about occupation. We are talking about protection. Protection of the galaxy from human mistakes. The other counselors nodded their agreement. 12 species representing thousands of worlds, all united in their fear of humanity. All convinced that the best way to deal with humans was to cage them. Jake Morrison had served in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years before becoming a diplomat. He had fought pirates in the asteroid belt. He had faced down rebels on the colony worlds. He had seen what humans could do when they had no choice but to fight. These aliens had no idea what they were unleashing. He stood straighter and looked each counselor in the eye. When he spoke, his voice was calm and clear. I came here hoping to find reason. I came believing that peaceful negotiation could solve our differences. I was wrong. Human, you will comply with council directives or face the consequences. Jake smiled, and for the first time in 3 years, he felt truly free. Counselor Vexithera, on behalf of the United Worlds of Humanity, I formally withdraw our membership from this council. The chamber fell silent. Several counselors leaned forward in their seats. One made a sound that might have been laughter. You cannot survive without us, human. Your people will starve. Your worlds will fall to chaos. Maybe, Jake said, walking toward the exit. Or maybe you'll discover what happens when you mistake our love of peace for weakness. He paused at the door and looked back one last time. You wanted to know the difference between dangerous children and a dangerous enemy. You're about to learn. The door slid shut behind him with a soft whisper. In the chamber, 12 alien species continued their meeting as if nothing had changed. They spoke of trade routes and mining rights and the 1,000 small details that kept their empire running smoothly. None of them noticed the small human ship that had been recording everything from just outside the station's sensor range. None of them saw it jump to hyperspace, carrying word back to Earth. The Council had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. General Ryan Mitchell stood on the observation deck of Luna Base and watched Earth turn slowly below him. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison walked out of the Council chamber. 6 months since humanity had stood alone in a galaxy that wanted them caged. The planet looked peaceful from up here, blue and white and beautiful. But Ryan knew better. Down there, in every city and town, humans were working harder than they ever had before. Factories that had built farm equipment now built weapons. Shipyards that had made cargo haulers now made warships. Children who should have been in school were learning to use emergency shelters. General, the production reports are ready. Ryan turned to see Dr. Kate Sullivan approaching with a datapad in her hands. Kate had been a peaceful researcher before the Council made their demands. Now she led the most important weapons program in human history. Show me the numbers, Kate. She activated the pad's holographic display. Charts and graphs filled the air. Between them, ship hulls under construction, weapon systems being tested, defensive platforms going online around every human world. We're ahead of schedule on most projects, Kate said. The new shipyards on Mars are producing 2 heavy cruisers per month. The weapons factories on Europa are running at full capacity. And Project Prometheus. She paused and smiled. It was not a nice smile. Project Prometheus is ready for testing. Ryan nodded. He had seen the plans for Prometheus. The ship was massive, bigger than anything humanity had ever built. More importantly, it was designed to fight and win against technology that was centuries ahead of human science. The Council expects us to collapse without their protection, Ryan said. They think we'll come crawling back, begging them to take us in. Will we? Ryan looked down at Earth again. Somewhere down there, his own daughter was learning to shoot. A rifle. She was 12 years old. No, Kate. We're going to show them what humans do when someone threatens our children. On the other side of the station, Lieutenant Commander Ben Torres was having a very different conversation. He sat in a small, dark room with no windows. The only light came from a holographic projector showing the face of an alien. The alien looked like a cross between an insect and a spider. Its name was Click-Thack, and it represented the Cleth Collective. The Cleth had been members of the Council for 200 years, but they had never been happy about it. Your message was received, Human Torres. My people are interested in what you offer. Ben leaned forward. Freedom, Click-Thack, the same thing every thinking being wants. The Council provides stability, order, peace. The Council provides chains. You know this, or you wouldn't be talking to me. Click-Thack's mandibles clicked together, and what Ben had learned was the Cleth equivalent of nervous laughter. My species was spacefaring when yours still lived in caves. We had colonies on 40 worlds. Now we are allowed to maintain 8. What happened to the other 32? The Council decided we were expanding too quickly. They said it was for our own good, for galactic stability. They moved us to smaller worlds and gave our colonies to species they trusted more. Ben made a note on his datapad. The Cleth were not the only species with grievances against the Council. His team had made contact with 17 different groups. All of them had stories of forced relocations, technology restrictions, and cultural suppression. The Council called it harmony. Ben called it slavery. What do you need from us? Click-Thack asked. Information, ship movements, fleet positions, defense layouts, and when the time comes, we'll need you to choose a side. And if we choose wrong? Ben's face hardened. Then you'll share the Council's fate. Far below on Earth's surface, Maya Chen stood in the middle of the largest factory complex ever built. Robotic arms moved in perfect coordination, assembling components that would become part of humanity's war machine. The air hummed with activity. Sparks flew from welding stations. The smell of hot metal and ozone filled her nose. Maya had been a civilian coordinator before the crisis. She had organized food shipments and medical supplies. Now she organized the production of weapons that could crack moons. Ma'am, the new armor plating is ready for testing. Maya turned to see a young engineer approaching. His name was Paul, and he looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. None of them had slept much lately. What makes this batch special? Paul's eyes lit up with enthusiasm. We figured out how to integrate Saurian shield technology with our own materials. The result is armor that can absorb energy weapons and convert the power to strengthen itself. Meaning? Meaning the more they shoot at us, the harder we become to kill. Maya smiled. The Council had made one critical mistake. They had allowed humans to study their technology for 60 years, believing that humans were too primitive to understand it. They were wrong. Humans were very good at taking things apart and putting them back together in new ways. How many ships can we outfit? All of them, ma'am. Production is ramping up across all colonies. By the time we're ready to move, every human ship will be protected. Maya walked to the observation window and looked out at the assembly lines stretching to the horizon. Hundreds of thousands of humans worked in perfect coordination, building the tools they would need to survive. No one had ordered them to work 18-hour days. No one had forced them to give up their comfortable lives. They did it because someone had threatened their children. The door behind her opened, and General Mitchell entered. His face was grim, but his eyes were bright with purpose. Maya, I need you to double production on everything. We just received intelligence that changes our timeline. What kind of intelligence? Ryan activated his personal communicator. Ben Torres appeared as a hologram, his face serious. General, we have a problem. The Council is assembling a fleet. 200 ships from 6 different species. They plan to force our compliance within the month. Maya felt her stomach drop. We're not ready for a full-scale battle. We don't have a choice, Ryan said. Ben, what's their likely approach? They'll come through the Tau Ceti system. It's the most direct route to Earth, and they expect light resistance. The Council thinks we have maybe 50 ships, all lightly armed. Ryan smiled, and Maya recognized the expression. It was the same look Kate had worn when talking about Project Prometheus. How many do we actually have? 300 and counting, Maya replied. All equipped with the new armor and weapon systems, plus the orbital defense platforms around every major world. And Prometheus? Kate's voice came over the communicator from Luna Base. Ready for combat trials, General. We can have her in position within days. Ryan looked out at the factory floor. where humans continued their work. Each of them had made a choice. They could have surrendered. They could have accepted the council's terms and lived as pets in a cage. Instead, they had chosen to fight. Ben, send a message to all our contacts in council space. Tell them the time is coming to choose sides. Either they stand with freedom, or they stand with the council. And if they choose the council? Ryan's voice was cold as space. Then they'll burn with it. The hologram faded, leaving Ryan and Maya alone in the observation room. Below them, the machinery of war continued its work. Above them, ships were taking position throughout the solar system. Somewhere in deep space, a council fleet was preparing to remind humanity of its place in the universe. They expected to find frightened humans begging for mercy. They were about to discover what happened when you threatened Earth's children. Admiral Carl Hansen stood on the bridge of the HNS Retribution and watched the enemy fleet approach. 200 alien ships moved in perfect formation through the Tau Ceti system. They came slowly, confidently, like predators approaching wounded prey. They had no idea what was waiting for them. "Admiral, all ships report ready," said Commander Alex Pierce from the tactical station. His voice was steady, but Carl could see the tension in his shoulders. This was humanity's first real battle since leaving the Council. Everything depended on the next few hours. "Captain Rodriguez, how are your fighters?" Nina Rodriguez's voice came over the communicator from her squadron leadership. "All birds ready to fly, Admiral. My pilots are eager to show these aliens what Earth pilots can do." Carl smiled. Nina had been a test pilot before the crisis. Now she commanded 300 of the deadliest fighter craft ever built. Each one was equipped with weapons that could punch through alien shields and AI systems that could track 100 targets at once. "Hold position until my signal. Let them get closer." The alien fleet continued its approach. Carl studied their formation on the tactical display. Classic Council doctrine: heavy ships in the center, escorts on the flanks, command vessel in the rear. They moved like they were on parade, not heading into battle. "Sir, we are receiving a transmission from the lead ship." "Put it through." The main screen shimmered and an alien face appeared. Carl recognized the species, Cetacean, one of the Council's founding members. The creature floated in a tank of blue liquid, its massive bulk barely fitting in the frame. "Human vessels. This is Fleet Commander Zefton of the Galactic Harmony Council. You are in violation of Council directives. Surrender immediately, and your punishment will be minimal." Carl stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. "Commander Zefton, this is Admiral Hansen of the Human Defense Force. You are in violation of human space. Leave now and we won't destroy you." The alien's laugh was like bubbles rising through water. "Admiral Hansen, our sensors show you have perhaps 50 ships, all of inferior design. We have 200 vessels crewed by species with centuries of space combat experience. Surrender now or we will take your ships by force." "I'm going to give you one last chance, Zefton. Turn around and go home." "Negative. All human ships will power down their weapons and prepare to be boarded." Carl nodded to Commander Pierce, who cut the transmission. The alien fleet was now within weapons range. Still they came on, confident in their superiority. "Alex, bring all systems online." "All systems online, sir. Shields at maximum. Weapons fully charged." Carl looked around the bridge. Every officer was at their station. Every face showed the same grim determination. These men and women had volunteered to stand between Earth and its enemies. None of them expected to survive the battle. All of them were ready to die trying. Signal the fleet. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Space erupted into chaos. The human fleet had been hiding. Ships behind asteroids, fighters in the shadow of planets, weapon platforms disguised as mining stations. Suddenly, 300 human vessels appeared on the Council's sensors, all of them moving at attack speed. Commander Zefton's confidence vanished as his tactical officer reported the new contacts. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures. These aren't the ships we expected. All vessels, defensive formation, prepare for combat." But the Council fleet was caught completely off guard. They had expected frightened humans in converted cargo ships. Instead, they faced purpose-built warships with technology that shouldn't exist. Captain Rodriguez led the fighter attack. Her squadron dove through the alien formation like sharks through a school of fish. The Council's point defense systems tried to track them, but the human fighters moved too fast and hit too hard. "Target their command ship first," Nina ordered over the squadron frequency. "Cut off the head and the body dies." Her fighters swarmed around a massive Saurian dreadnought, their energy beams slicing through armor that had protected the ship for decades. The alien vessel's shields flickered and failed under the concentrated assault. On the Retribution's bridge, Admiral Hansen watched the battle unfold. The Council fleet was trying to respond, but their formations were breaking apart. Under the human attack, ships that had never faced serious resistance were learning what real combat looked like. "Sir, the enemy command ship is signaling surrender." "Ignore it. Continue the attack." Commander Pierce looked surprised. "Sir, accepting surrender is required under the laws of war." Carl's face was stone. "These aliens came here to force us into slavery. They wanted to occupy our worlds and control our children. The laws of war don't apply to slavers." The Saurian dreadnought exploded in a ball of nuclear fire. Its destruction sent shockwaves through the Council formation. Ships that had served for generations were being torn apart by humans who supposedly lacked advanced technology. Commander Zefton tried to rally his fleet. "All vessels, concentrate fire on the human flagship. Bring down their command ship." 20 Council vessels turned their weapons toward the Retribution. Energy beams and missile salvos filled space around the human dreadnought. The ship's shields flared as they absorbed the incoming fire. "Shields holding at 90%, reported the defensive systems officer. "Minor damage to outer hull plating." Carl almost laughed. The Council's weapons were designed for police actions against helpless victims. They had never been tested against an enemy that could fight back. "Return fire, all weapons." The Retribution's response was devastating. Energy beams that could burn through moon-sized asteroids lanced out toward the Council ships. Where they hit, alien vessels simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not crippled. Vaporized. "My God," whispered Commander Pierce. "What have we built?" "We built exactly what we needed," Carl replied. "Weapons to kill the things that threaten our families." The battle raged for 2 hours. When it ended, the Tau Ceti system was filled with the wreckage of the Council's peacekeeping fleet. Of the 200 ships that had come to force human compliance, only 17 escaped to hyperspace. Commander Zefton was not among them. His flagship drifted as a burning hulk, its crew dead or dying in the cold of space. Admiral Hansen stood in his command center and looked at the tactical display. Not a single human ship had been lost. A few had taken damage, but Dr. Sullivan's new armor had performed exactly as designed. The more the Council shot at them, the stronger the human ships became. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth." General Mitchell's face appeared on the screen. "Carl, what's your status?" "Mission accomplished, General. The Council fleet has been destroyed. Tau Ceti is secure." "Casualties?" "None, sir. We didn't lose a single ship." Mitchell was quiet for a long moment.